I think to get right into it, I'd like to know Ntombi ke mang just a bit, but I
Mm.
also am really interested in rising above toxicity.
Okay, so Untombi is Ntombizodwa Elizabeth Sithole in full. That's my name. I know it's long, but I love it. I love saying it in full.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a mother to a beautiful 11-year-old. Her name is Uhope Ngobile Sithole. Uhope has got Down syndrome, but we'll talk about that later. So I'm a mother, I'm a leader, I'm a writer. Um, I'm just a woman that has walked through fires, and I chose to grow from that. And with growing from that, I started in retail early in my young years. And I've seen the dark side of retail. I've seen the dark side of leadership. I've seen the silence that people have, the injustice that we actually get to experience as workers within the retail space. And I just want to also say, I mean, it's known that retail is one of the biggest sectors in our country. It provides a lot of employment. There's if you speak about retail, you would know with the contribution. It's a huge part of contribution in our economy, and I think looking at my experience, that's when I started just sitting down and saying, "Look, Ntombi, you have to look at everything that you've been through, and break the silence." Because I've been in my whole life. I've been in retail. This is 15 years. Me seeing a lot of things happening, me being the victim sometimes. And I think when I started writing the book, I created a character in the book, which is the main character. I didn't want Untombi because I would have left out other experiences or other moments when people, you know, were able to, or maybe me not being able to express myself in saying, this is what happened at this time. And the character's name, I'm just giving it out so everyone can be excited, is Ushubi. Ushubi goes through a lot. And she sees a lot. She heals within the process, and that's the whole purpose. Because I think when someone looks at the cover, they would think it's all about toxicity and it's deep. Yes, it is deep, but it's more of a tool for someone that is in a toxic environment, whether it's at home, in a community, or in a work environment. Although it it deals a lot within the work environment, but the flip side of it is when you read it, you get to understand that it heals you. There's harmony within the book.
Oh, my heart, that is so sweet. That
Thank
is
you.
so sweet. It even sounds from the way that you're speaking, it sounds like that was such a healing thing to do, just to even write that book. Like I don't know how to put it, but the way you are explaining it, it's
Mhm.
like, whew, what was happening? It must have done something to you.
No, it was, and I'm glad you're saying that because writing about it healed me in a way where at first I was writing it out of anger because I wanted everyone to know that you know what there's toxicity out there,
Mm.
and people are being victimized. People are being they are being looked down at. Ugabona. And you get home and you're not yourself anymore. And that's the biggest thing. As a
Mm.
mother, for me, I would have days, whether it's in the past or now, when I get home, I just feel like I just want to shut my eyes and go to sleep. But you can't.
Yeah.
You can't because you have
Yes.
another life besides the work life that you have. And that is a huge strain on yourself, on people. And I think a lot of people underestimate that little part where you need to now like really think about your work environment. You know, we've had a lot of people say this that we pray for the jobs that we find, and at the end the same jobs ends up sometimes killing you. We've seen a lot of people, personally I've seen a lot of people that have been in toxic environments and it has led to suicide. It has led to someone not being okay mentally. You know, it has led
Mm.
to families being destroyed. And if you had to dig to the core part of it, you end up finding out ukuthi that person is not happy in 17, and that affects their life in a 360-degree way, you know. So
Mm.
writing the whole book really healed me. You know, Every day, I love the book so much that I read it every day, although I wrote it myself. And it's like a healing, it's like therapy. Someone always said to me, books are like therapy. And I'm learning that now. And writing it is even worse because you get to express yourself. You get to
Mm,
say how you really feel about a certain situation, maybe. And it is healing, pretty much healing.
that is so, that's powerful, especially when you say that. In fact, how honest of you to say that you started it off with a plan of, of being
I
like,
mean,
hey,
yes.
they will know that this thing is hurtful. Um, it's a nice thing that it turns around and does more for you than instead of feeding the anger that was there. That's really beautiful. So you wrote it based off of your understanding your work environment, your retail, ne? Because does it get more toxic than yo
It
yo
does. It actually does.
but that's such a great environment to speak on toxicity in the work environments. That's I would think that's one of the best places to carry it from because it gets really bad. And not that I think the last time when we spoke, I liked
Hmm.
that you had said that it's not that um, if you go to another workplace you're going to get anything better. It's just you could, but you also might not. So how are
Hmm.
we working on rising above it past the fact that we are dealing with a toxic situation at that time?
100%. And like I said,
Yeah.
I mean, and you're saying it very well. Think about your whole experience as a person, and you sorry to say it, but you're fed up. You just have heard it, and you're thinking, I'm applying on in another company or whatever the case. You get to, especially, there's a very good example in the book that I used of an intern. And I think that is a good example for young stars that are ready to come within the workplace. Because most of them, they go to college or they go to university, they're just ready, ready to face the world. They don't know what's happening. And they get there, they realize, Guti, there's unhappy people, there's people that have been in the organizations for so long, and because they have those people, laba bantu laba, they never actually had a moment like the youngsters. Sometimes you find that, and
Mhm.
bayaqala bayasebenza, they start working, things are normal. When they realize such things, research shows that most of the people that face toxicity are people that do not, like, they've been there for a shorter space. For instance, for example, it's someone new coming in from a different environment. Now they come in this new environment, and the people that have been there for long, they're used to certain ways of talking. Number one, they're used to certain a culture that they've built on their own to say, okay, this is how we do things. We can make jokes about certain things and people are okay with it. I touched based on victimization, which is one of the biggest things that we have. Like, literally, you can go to work and someone makes a joke about who you are, your gender, and they're okay with it. Remember, for them, it's a norm, but for you, it's not. It might be something serious. And if you raise it because it's a culture that's within the organization, everyone is okay with it. They'll probably say, I mean, come on, we're used to this. It's nothing. They're just saying
Don't
this.
be sensitive.
Exactly. And it starts building up because as a person on your own, you're thinking, this is not me. This is not what I signed up for. And it's a typical example. It might sound simple, but it's actually not. Because some of the people tend to be, not to say they're sensitive, but we need to be really um, sibe, like sazi ukuthi everyone is important, number one. Secondly, what we say with our mouth, because we're in a professional space, we need to be very careful. We're not at home, we're not in a community, we're not in the
Mm,
streets. That is why it's
mm,
called work. And I think the more people start
mhm,
understanding that, it'll start making sense that when you are at work, you act professionally. And you are unable to do other things because you need to follow protocols. You need to say the right things at the right time, whether it's a customer, it's a staff member, it's your bosses. And like I said, would see it's the retail industry on its own, because I mean I've been in the retail industry. Although we've seen on social media, on other platforms, that people are really suffering being in toxic environments. I mean, we see the videos every day. Someone saying, "I've just resigned. I've just left the company," and you ask yourself, you know, for someone like me, I end up asking myself, so it's actually not only in retail. That means it's everywhere. And what are we doing about it? You know, as people that are employees, are we willing to let it go? That's number one. Or are we willing to face the reality and say, how do I make it? How do I survive? By making sure that I'm still me. I don't break within the system, you know, because it can break you. It can either grow you or it can break you.
Man, that's tough. I think what hurts is putting in all the work to get to the point where you actually get a job and not realizing, Gucci, when I'm there, just having the job and doing my job is not going to be enough. I need to have a lot of
Yes.
emotional intelligence. I need to have a lot of strength. I need to be able to stand up for myself. There's a lot of human beings I'm going to be working with besides
Mm.
that one specific thing that I think I'm applying for. There's a whole thing. And I would I don't think that before this conversation I had thought about being mentally prepared for the job. I've always thought with yes, we pray for the job and then we pray for the working environment with maybe, but yeah, I don't think I've thought about it until now. There's also that besides saying I've got my qualification now and it's time for me to get into
Mm.
this industry, there's a lot of mentally preparedness that
You
needs
have
to come
to.
with that.
You definitely have to prepare yourself. And you know, the one thing that I always say about preparing yourself in time is you might like the organization that you're going to. And I think the book itself is a part where we speak about mental health. You know, I speak about mental health and how to prepare yourself to be mentally fit. What tips, there's tips that I give for people to say, okay, if you are in an environment like that, where do you draw the line? At some point you have to leave,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not the same as
Mm-hmm.
people, you know. Other people can
Yeah.
take the whole toxicity and run with it and say, it's okay, you know what, I'll deal with it till the end, like me. But other people, and not to say you're weak, you must never get
Yeah.
that. You're not weak. It's just that your body has had it, maybe, or your spiritual being has had it. Because when it comes to the mental health part of things, in being in a toxic environment, it affects your spirituality, number one. And I can tell you, with a lot of people that have been in that route, you won't find somebody that will say, I'm in a toxic environment and it's easy for me to pray about it. It becomes more harder every day because you're praying about the same thing over and over again. And you wake up, you still find the same people treating you bad. You still find the same people that make you feel small. What do you do about such things? And that's where it starts affecting you now, also, like emotionally. You wake up in the morning, I was like, all right, yeah, this is good to know. This is not for me. I don't want this job. And the worst thing that can happen, which has happened to me personally, when it starts affecting you physically. Now, your body
Mm-hmm.
gets
Mm-hmm.
really tired. Your body can get tired to a point where now it's either you have a certain sickness, which can be high blood, you know, it can be a lot of things. I'll tell you one of my experiences, which I did touch base on, not much, but in the book. Um, I started just having a cough from nowhere. I did all the tests, I did everything, and the cough persisted. It never stopped. 2 years down the line, you can imagine coughing for 2 years. And every time I go to the doctor would say it's a stress cough, and I'm like, what is a stress cough? Like, how do I get it out of my body? And it continued until I started understanding the cough and saying, okay, I've got a cough that is triggered by anything that I think about. How do I deal with this? Mind you, I'm just a normal person that's working, despite the fact that I've written about toxicity and I'm starting to understand a little bit of myself and starting to understand my mental health. It doesn't mean that I'm a doctor. It also doesn't mean that I can diagnose myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that put a
Mm-hmm.
lot of strain on me because now I had to start being this one person that now start researching about my life. I can imagine if you're going to research about your life, like how I did, it took me at least an hour or two. That's time I could have used to do something else. It's time
Mm.
consuming, you know.
Wait, but
And
how does that work? Yeah, what I'm interested in this research.
I do a lot of researches. It's different researches. Like I try not to take as much. I'm not against pills and everything, but I try to take
Mhm.
as much as natural herbs. You know, doing some exercises. I'm so into Chinese exercises. It has helped me a lot. I'm not lying. Like honestly, like those rubbing of fingers and everything has helped me.
Ah, okay,
So
okay.
that's the kind of research that I've done, which has helped me a lot from, my health. And like I was saying, besides that, there's other things that affect your mental health. And it is really, really sad that we as people are still silent about it. And I wish a lot of people would be able not to say, I'm going to wake up in the morning and just post about it. And I think the
Mm.
next person will know. They won't know. They won't stop. They're still going to hurt the next person.
Mm.
And you know what I've realized about the whole part of people that create those kind of environment is that they're hurt. They themselves are hurt.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I think when you start being the bigger person, you're teaching the next person something else. And I can tell you this from my experience is that no matter how much I got hurt, but because I was giving love back and I wasn't giving two wrongs don't make a right. I gave them a
Right,
totally
yeah.
different feeling and it worked. It worked because
Mm.
it looks at you and they're like, this person uzele emsebenzini ukuzosebenza. They're not after
Mm,
me.
mm,
They're not after my
mm,
job. Although they still
mm.
feel intimidated, they're here to work. And I mean, what difference am I going to make if I am to a child? Because
Mm.
that's the only part that the poor people out there are just being tortured for being themselves.
Yes, yes. And that's the tough thing when you don't even know what did I do? Like, what is it about me
Mm.
that triggers you so much to react this type of way or to, yeah, no, no, thank you for that. I just noted down Chinese exercises. I'm getting better. I need to go research on those. But I also wanted to thank you for this one statement just saying you are not weak. Because yes, you are right. There are people that can handle it and can work through it at the time. And
Mhm.
there are people that cannot for different reasons. Maybe they're already carrying so much from at home and then getting it again at work is too much or whatever it is.
Yes. Mm.
And just hearing Uti, you are not weak and it's okay, Uti, you want to make some type of changes. I think it makes a big difference because for the most part, as people, we do like comparing ourselves.
Yeah.
Uti, Mina, why am I struggling so much? Ngalento, but Ntombi is going through the same thing and
Hmm.
she can come in here fine. In fact, she's not talking about writing resignation letters. She's not like, why is she, And
100%.
that can be another thing that adds on to your struggle, yeah, your own mental health, because you're comparing yourself into another space. But just hearing Utsi, it's not you being weak, especially if you've actually put in your own level of work, because also there's that part of being a victim to everything again.
Hmm.
So if you know that Lena, you've done the most that you can, and you are understanding that it's not like when I leave here, I'm running off to bed or whatever. But I'm just understanding that right now, this place, I cannot, then let's see how much I can tolerate of another place. What am I going to change? Whatever it is, as long as I am capable victim.
Mm.
But
True.
yeah. So then tell me, why do you think mental health awareness is important?
But it's important because it's part of us. It's part
Mm.
of us, and we often hide the us, that happens behind the scenes. And I think we touched based on it when we spoke about what happens at home, and all that. And it affects everything. It's like without it, we are not people, you
Mm.
know. And mental health is not just like what I said, it's not just a weakness. And I think people that into their minds. And I like the fact that you emphasized on it because it's not just a weakness, it's humanity itself. And when you start understanding that mental health is humanity, you get to understand that in the work environment, at home, in your community, or in your relationship, because some of the people, it's just in the relationship, we are all carrying something.
Mm.
And because we're all carrying something, if we don't start normalizing the conversations that we carry, people often suffer in silence. They often suffer in silence. And I've seen people break because they did not have a space, they did not speak. And awareness is just not about education, it's empathy. And the reason why I say it's empathy is because I want us to understand that the weakness part of things, as soon as you feel like you're not mentally okay, you shut down. But you need somebody, you need something to put you back in your place. And I define it as empathy. That is why in a work environment, you need the right leadership to guide you, to be
Mm.
able to sense, to see your body language when there's something wrong. They need to be able to pick up and say, "Your Untombi came in this morning, and I can see she's not okay." Before she starts speaking to customers, let me speak to her. That's empathy. You don't have to hug
Oh
someone. You don't have to
yes,
tell them, "I love you"
yes.
every day. Showing empathy, it's
Mm.
just being the right leader, being able to speak to people, being able to connect to people beyond speaking to them.
Mm. And just being present, man. That's why I think that's how I would interpret it if my leader was to do things that way, being like, I actually want to know. I don't have to want to know what's going on with you in detail, but
Mm.
that bit of attention to me would give me the sense that, yo, this person is very present. Marilana, they're actually looking into what's going
Yes.
on with all of us here. So
Mm.
yeah, okay. And then, what are your favorite routines on a monthly, on a daily, or on a weekly that you have seen works for you and especially for your
Sorry,
mental
I'm,
health?
I'm trying to don't mind my movements.
Oh, not a
Um,
problem. I'm already thinking the Chinese exercises, by the way.
don't worry, I'll share it with you one day on the live also, so we can, yes, be healthy. Okay.
Mm.
Going back to your question, what are my favorite daily? Okay, what is my favorite daily routines? I keep it simple. I think I'm the most simplest person you can find out there. I keep it very simple and I'm honest. On a daily basis, I check on myself to see if I'm still okay. Number one, because remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Sometimes it's journaling. I love journaling. I'm a writer, so I journal
Mm.
everything that I can find. I sit in silence. That's another thing. I can sit in silence for 30 minutes, just thinking about things that has happened for the rest of the day. What are the plans? How do I go about it? Do I need to follow up? Do I need to go back to the thing, or am I done with it? Is it a project that I don't need to go back to? Unfortunately, I always say this: if you treat your life like you treat your work, and if you are a person that takes your work serious, things become easy. They really do.
Okay.
Because um, think about a person. I'm still going to answer your question. I just want
Mm.
to elaborate on this. Think about a person who wakes up every morning, who gives her job everything. This person makes sure that everything is done right. And if you have to look at their lives, I bet you that person has got a life that's a straight life, that they are able to organize their lives correctly. You won't find that person saying, "I just woke up in the morning and I just decided to sleep the whole day." It's impossible.
Mm.
The routine of their lives, of their daily lives, their monthly life, their yearly life has got a plan within it.
Mm.
So to answer it, on my daily life, I treat my life as a job. as soon as I get home, I just analyze everything, see how everything went. Did everything go okay? If it didn't, what did I do wrong on that day? And how do I fix it? If I can't fix it, I move on from it. I don't dwell on the same thing. That's
Yes.
another thing. I just move on. Um, I also make space just to talk to my daughter. I think I introduced her earlier on that Hope
Yes.
Ongobile, she's
Yes.
very special. One of the things that I really enjoy or love about her is just being able to have a conversation with her. And I know a lot of people would say, but how do you have we have our own conversation. And it's a girl's talk that
Hey.
doesn't end. And I love it. I love listening to the stories. And I think that what revives me. You know, a lot of people would say, I go to the gym. Unfortunately, I don't go to the gym, but I'm planning, guys. I'm planning to go to the gym.
Oh, you're working on it. You're working on
I'm
it.
working on it. But that's what revives me. You know, at the end of the day, if I've had a long day and all that, speaking to her just calms me down. It gives me that peace of mind to say, you know what, you're still doing okay in life. Despite everything, despite all that's going on, you're still on the right track. On a weekly, I I'm very grounded when it comes to if you have to think about weekly parts. I'm a very grounded person. I make time to reflect. Um, Even if it's just a walk or sitting with a cup of tea or coffee. Oh, besides, I think I've said it a lot with the Chinese medicine. So I also drink a lot of green tea, you know, to revive my mind. I know other people do it differently, but it helps a lot for me. I check on my emotions. I don't know if you are familiar with the self talk. I do a lot of self talk. And it
Okay.
helps me because I'm able to pat myself on the shoulder, even on the smallest things that I've done. I mean, I can do a yearly budget and I decide that I'm going to budget 500 Rand for the whole year. And it happens that I go and check and I realize that I've done 450. Self talk, pat yourself, at least you did something, you know, on your own because that helps. You know, not remember that in our lives, you might get someone that doesn't have that person that keeps on saying, you're doing well, you're doing great, you know. So you need to be able to self
Mm.
talk yourself and design that little moment where you are praising yourself for all these things.
Mm.
We can I always say this, we can go through therapy, we can go through other divisions of life where you find people to talk to, mentoring, you know, and all that, but it all starts with you. If you can't get it right, it is impossible to speak to the next person and understand what they're saying. They can speak to you, but
Mm.
anything they say, ingena ngapha, iphuma ngapha, because
Ngapha.
you're not ready when to say, okay, I'm listening to what you are saying. You know, I'm ready to listen to you. And I think another thing that I've done is just designing, you know, a part of my life is a monthly thing, as you said, weekly, daily, and monthly.
Yes.
Um, Anything that reminds me of who I am more than just my responsibility, I think. And I protect my energy. That's one of the things that I've learned in life
Mm.
to protect my energy against other people's energies. Because there's a lot of energies
Mm.
that you will meet. People are going to come um, with their energies and they want to feed on you, you know.
Mm.
And I protect it as much as I can because it costs me peace more than anything. And if I'm
Yeah.
able to give it away, it's gone. I can't retrieve it anymore.
Mm. Oh gosh. Okay. That is so helpful. I think especially the part you were speaking on, yeah, that it starts with you, right? And if you are not prepared to actually take in the help that you can get, and because I think I'm linking it with, I had thought about this a lot when it comes to receiving help within the mental health space. That if you're not at the space of saying it's time for me to get help, and I'm about to make all the sacrifices I can make, and I'm about to listen to what I can listen to, and I'm going to take in what I can take in. If you're not at that place as yet, whatever effort that you're putting in is just gonna fall out the window. It's not going to work. And it's the same thing as trying to push somebody else into getting help. If you're seeing they're not okay and you're just like, okay, but I know somebody that's going to do this and I know somebody and I'm before the person actually says, I need help, and whatever it is you're saying, I would like to try it. What works for you? And before a person gets to that that state mentally,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just forcing his Ntombi otothusa, his Ausingobi otothusa, like, and
Mm.
what it's gonna come in, get out. As a person, you need to personally be prepared for all that is out there that can actually do best for you. Oh,
Mm.
okay. And then how would you think? I think that is a great lead into the question. How would you think your average person would be able to help somebody that is struggling with their mental health? And this is because we hear what we hear, and we might also think that you need to know a professional in your corner before I can help somebody
Mm.
else.
Mm.
So, as soon as Ausuntombi comes to me, I'm going to be like, yo, maybe like yola, to that side, or I want. But
Mm.
just as your average person who's not a professional and doesn't have someone on their speed dial, how would you think they'd be able to help a stranger or a friend?
Mm. I think first of all, start by listening and listen attentively. You know, sometimes people just need to know that they are seen, they are heard. Offer kindness. We're not professionals, like you
Mm,
said, but if you offer your kindness, you check on that person constantly. Now, that's another thing. You don't
mm-hmm,
just decide to go to you, I'm going to check on you tomorrow, and then 1 month later, I'm going to come back. Constantly check on the person to find out if they're okay.
mm,
I think one of the things that I've learned, I think it was a paid ad that they played on TikTok, and this person called somebody, and when they tried calling them back, that's where it starts. They couldn't find them, and it went very viral. And the words that were written was that most of the people that seem okay are actually not. They couldn't find that person because they were gone. I mean, on an everyday, you saw the person, they were happy, they were just bubbly. And that's the thing. Those people that are always happy are the people that really need to be checked on just once nje uthi, but Mbali, are you okay? So I'm just gonna show you the chats. Mbali, are you okay? You know,
mm,
the fact that I'm seeing you smiling, running, doing all these things every day, you are hyped up, you are able to pump everyone and say, you're gonna be okay. You, that social worker out there who is not a social worker, but then when you can sit with people, that is the first thing. That is a red flag that people need to start looking at. It's like having a child and Lenny,
mm-hmm,
and let's say maybe you've got two different children, and this one child can stand anything. You can literally tell the child, today there's no food, and they're okay with it. They don't question you.
mm,
Christmas, I can't buy you Christmas clothes. Okay, mommy. This, you don't even get to say my child is problematic. I don't need to check out on them. Be worried that you can't. Same with the employees. That one employee that
mm,
doesn't ask you anything, that constantly doesn't even challenge you guys in an organization, they're not going to stay there for long. The intention is, I'm not
oh,
listening to you. I can see what's happening. And you know what? I'm just going to leave because there's nothing I can do about it. And that's where you need to constantly
that person
check.
is being observant.
Yes, they are being very observant about a lot of things. And ask real
Mm,
questions. Like when I say real questions, you need to ask, how are you really doing? You know,
mm,
ask them. And if they open up, respect the space. If they tend not to open up and they don't want to speak to you, then it tells you that they maybe need someone more professional, or maybe they don't find you, they're not comfortable with you, and it's okay. The
mm-hmm,
fact that you're asking how are they doing, and they're coming back to you, or they're saying anxiety, and they're not opening up, it's okay. You're doing your part as a friend, as a colleague, or as someone that just knows the person. And if you feel lost, guide them. If they feel lost, actually, guide them into going into other things. One of the things that I've learned as I grow up is that with guidance, and it this goes hand in hand with mental health. You cannot just live and be a person without guidance. This goes by saying, if you're going to say you're a Christian, I'm a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe there's a lot that guides me. The Bible guides me. It reminds me of who I am. And if you're not a Christian, you are in another religion, all good and well, that must guide you. So you can't just leave a
Mm-hmm.
person and say, I'm in a pillar. You know what? I don't care what's happening around me. Then you don't have principles. And
Mm-hmm.
if you are in a situation where that person finds you find the person and maybe you share the same religion, it even helps you because you are able to open up with that one thing that you guys connect with, and you can say, hey, you know what, let's pray together. You
Yeah.
know what, let's do yoga together. Let's do such things because there's a connection in between you, and it helps a lot with just connecting with each other. And if you don't have all the answers, but you can be present and just make a change, then it is what it is. But at least you've played your part.
Those are so powerful, man, because that's literally just simple stuff that just need you to be a person for the day.
Mm,
It's literally just simple things that just need just be nicer, and you're good to go. You could have just saved someone from just doing that. You could have just helped someone from just doing that. And that's actually what we need most of the time, especially the part you're listening. Most of the time, it's really just that sometimes you feel like you're so filled up and there's a lot going on, and I think that's what
mm,
journaling
mm.
does for me. It gives me a sense of I spoke to someone that was listening. Because you just
Yes.
have a lot going on until you spit it out and you blurt it out and you write it out, and then it's okay, what I was thinking is starting to make sense. Now, here's what was happening. Here's what isn't happening. Here's what I
Mm,
feel like. Here's, I'm able to dissect it out. It's same thing as when you start speaking it out. You hear yourself while you're speaking. You're like, actually, oh, there's already a solution while I'm talking. I actually can do something about it.
100%.
Or,
Yes. Mm,
yes, there's always something. So being a person that listens, and I think that would also help someone or release someone who is trying to be a helpful person but feels like they're not helping enough
mm,
after they
mm.
know now that actually just listening to that person that was reaching out, I've done my part, and I've
Yeah.
done big enough of a part. Because that's another thing that gets to people is just, I really want to, but I don't know what's in season, like what do I, or I haven't been doing much. And then you find
Mm,
that if I just from that little bit of kindness that you were doing, it was a big thing.
100%. And Bali, I must say, sometimes as the helper, you end up feeling like you're carrying a lot of weight because maybe that person is not coming out. Again, go back to what we started saying from the
Mm,
word when we started speaking. You're also not weak. It's just that at that moment, maybe the person is not responding because you're just not the right person to talk to at that time. Or you just didn't bring the right tools. Because remember, we will speak about this, and then everyone is going to go out there and want to be a hero, and we're just forgetting that it's not something that we all can do. And people come with different, heavy, I mean, serious problems
yeah.
that we can't solve at all times. So I think, Mina, the more we become open minded. That's another thing that I like a lot. We tend to understand that we need to start reading, we need to start watching certain lives in order, like the life that you see Esiguyo Manje, in order for you to survive
Mm,
other things, concentrate on things that are going to build you, not just things that are
mm.
going to sit on and.
That's a word.
Mm, mm. So it's very important to actually like do things that will empower you, that will make a change in your life. And as soon as those things start making changes, trust me, you will see the difference in your life. It becomes so easy for you because you are able to engage with people. Number one, you are able to see things from a faraway distance, like a little prophet. You can see,
Mm,
I've seen this.
mm,
It's coming in the wrong direction. I am not going to, and you move away from that, deviate from that, and you do something else.
mm,
And I think that's the kind of route that we need to start speaking about, we need to start emphasizing on, to say, how do we help other people? Because, like we said, toxicity is not just in our workplace. Problem is that
Oh
it
yeah.
might be, we're talking about it as something that happens at work, but where does it actually come from?
Mm. Oh gosh, no, thank you for that. I'm thinking we you had mentioned that this is your second book that you've written, eh? Rising
Mm.
Above Toxicity. Please tell me about the first one.
The first book was I was, yeah, I was still young, I think. No, I wrote about Tungobile. It was
Did you
dedicated.
actually publish it?
Yes, it's on Amazon. A very small book.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a book. It's it's dedicated to Down syndrome. It's a 21-page book for children. I made it very easy
Mm.
for anyone to understand it. But it's basically about Ngobile, just seeing how she lives. It's picture books more like. I wanted. I always say, for me, writing is about leaving a legacy, and not just for Ngobile.
Mm.
It's leaving a legacy for other people to say, you can also write. If you decide to leave a legacy for your great grandchildren, for them to see. For me, at first, when I started as an author, it was more about concentrating on myself and my daughter. But the more I grew as an author, because I can tell you, when I wrote the second book, it took me 9 months to finish the book. 9 full months. And I mean, that is without edits, that is without any other thing. This is me just writing the book every day, coming back from work because I'm a working mom. I've got side hustles also that I need to look at, and all that, and being a mom to a special need child takes a lot. So, yeah, first book, it was just a book about being me and trying out being an author. And I think I enjoyed it a lot because I learned a lot from the first experience. And now the second experience has just evolved, and I'm like, okay, you did better, I guess, I think.
Yeah. I'm really happy for you for being able to get to the point of the second book and publishing, yeah. Um, for doing the first one and for being like, I'm gonna do it again. Because I think that has been but also actually let me ask about that part. Maybe you'll have something to say on this, man. Because I've always thought I've always I've always wanted to write and I always feel like at some point I'm going to. Nah. But then I get to like, but I'm not old enough, or I'm not experienced enough on that, or I'm not, as yet. It's as if, okay, but if I write on, on mental health, but like, have I
Mm.
explored everything that has to do with fixing this thing? If I write on marriage, have I been there long enough to speak about it? Like, I
Like,
write on parenthood, like things that's the one thing that I keep getting like, no, maybe you just need to be a little older. We'll try it again in
no,
5 years or something like that. And
no, it doesn't
that's when
happen.
my worry gets.
No, not exactly. Firstly, I think you need to write from your heart. Remember what I said when I wrote from my heart and I was bitter, I was angry. As I was writing, it just all started flowing. I started writing from my
Mm,
heart and saying, why am I writing this? Because at the end of the day, you're not writing a book for yourself, you're writing for audience out there.
actually,
It
yes.
needs to relate to people. People need to resonate with what you're writing. So, for instance, you are very much into the mental health space. You can write about anything. I'm just saying, please don't steal this idea that I'm talking to Umbali about. Um, you can write about your lives that you've done, what people have
Yeah.
given you, the experience of it. You're never too old, you're never too young. I mean, you've got authors that, there's one author, Yase Kukuleti, that just published now, she's like 12 years old. And then you ask yourself,
Mm.
as a person living on an I'm going to, where was I? I could have written a book. And I believe
Mm.
that we look, technology has gotten to a phase where everyone watches TV, we watch TikTok, things like that. Social media has, but books have got a different feel, man. They just have a different feel. That when you start touching a book and you read the book, I can tell you this book that I've read and I've cried my heart out, And as soon as I close it, I'm like, was I gonna cry if I watched the film? Or maybe watch the video. Why is it like this?
Yeah.
And because
Why
you
did
you
it
give
touch me like that?
yes, you give it your all. When you're reading,
Mm,
you're just giving it your all. You you wanna understand everything. And as soon as you
mm-hmm.
close it, you are done with it. Every single book, I tell you this, there is no book that you will read and finish and you're still the same. It doesn't matter whether it's a love book, it's a love
Nah.
story, but there is something
Yeah.
that it touches you, and once you're done reading that love story, in your heart you're like, I will never treat my partner like this, and that's a change because you've read about something
Mm,
new that you didn't know about, or someone's experience, a character's
mm,
experience that changed you. So you're never too old, trust me. It's just that you have to think about what will resonate with your audience and
mm.
what people will know you for, because at the end of the day it's about you. It's just about
Yeah.
you. So right one.
Oh,
Join the group.
I will definitely work towards it. I'll definitely work towards it. It is something that I really do enjoy. Yes, I really do enjoy it. Even when I'm journaling, I really do. Yeah, but we're gonna speak again about this. We're gonna speak again about this, and I think on what you're saying as well. I like that with the mentality of it's an audience that is looking into it, because really what makes me think that we are different when you're done with the book compared to before you started reading the book
Hmm.
is how much, well, especially for me, how much of my imagination is used from reading it. I've created a full picture. I've got so many emotions invested. I've got a lot that is invested in this. It's as if I'm almost partnering with the writer. That
Hmm.
when I'm done with it, I completely understand getting more emotional on a book than you would on a movie.
Hmm.
There's I don't know, there's a lot more investment on personally on this site that you're doing into while you're reading it.
No, there is.
So
And,
yes, yes, yes.
and you know what? I want to be honest with you. There are moments when I wrote and I still said, I don't like this. And I changed it. Even when I've got a publisher, luckily I've got a publisher. I know other people
Okay,
self publish,
luckily.
which is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work. But when I was done, I would go back to my publisher and I said, let's change it a bit. And he always said to me, it's because you are the author. And when someone starts editing it and puts it in a different, remember, they're not changing anything, they're just putting in a different form, more professionally, if I can say, as a person that would read it, it will look different to you. And you're thinking, hi, this is not what I wanted to say. Perhaps I want to change it. And it happened a lot. And like I said, I
Mm,
think writing a tester, for me, the first book was a tester. The second book,
mm,
unfortunately, that's just the kind of person I am. With anything that I do, I test the waters and then I go for it. And I know other people go for things. And,
yeah.
so for me, it was like, just like what you're thinking right now, I want to test it, see if it works. And then I say, okay, it does work. Okay. Now, how do I really get into it and start expressing myself the right way? And like, you are saying maybe someone out there is watching and they're thinking the same thing. I want to write. You can write a book and you shouldn't be scared. There's other people that can help you. There's editors, there's publishers, there's other people behind the scenes. And even if you don't have money, there's organizations that are waiting for you to come with a different idea and they're excited just to say, you know what, we'll push it because we think this will work. We think
Mm,
it will resonate with a lot
mm-hmm.
of people. Currently, if we have to look at where you're at and what you speak about, this is something everyone needs. No matter we can say there's AI, you can speak to the AI, you'll feel better, but it doesn't
It's not the same.
necessarily. It's not human. It doesn't have that sympathy, empathy. It's not enough for you to say, I understand where you come from. I've been there too. And I'm in the same situation. And that's what we need, people that are authentic, people that can tell stories that are real. And that's another thing. Authenticity is the best thing ever because you're being yourself. You're being
Mm-hmm.
umbadi. You're not trying to be somebody else. And you're speaking about things that are you. And I think when people start touching that book, they feel
Mm-hmm.
like, yes. you know what? I'm carrying Umbali everywhere I go.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh no, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Our time already. Oh, tell me how it's an hour. Now tell me, Gay, Ntombi, please let everybody know, how do we connect with you and how do we get a hold of Rising Above Toxicity?
Okay. Firstly, very soon it's going to be available with TikTok. So I will be posting on my social media where you can find it with TikTok. It's going to be available, which makes it easier for me. Um, Another thing that I didn't speak about that I want to touch base on is that
Mm.
I created a ribbon for toxicity, non-toxic environment.
Yeah.
A non-toxic
Okay.
environment. We're planning to launch it with the book when we do the launch. It's 50 Rand per ribbon. So I guess if you're going to be able to wear the ribbon, you are saying something to the world. You are saying something in your organization. Don't touch me. I don't want to live in a toxic environment. I am practicing a non-toxic environment and I'm rising above it. So that's one of the exciting things that we are excited about. And we're hoping a lot of organizations are going to start tapping into it, and it will say a lot for someone that just wears the ribbon, you know. And hopefully soon there's going to be other plans where it goes national wide, international, so everyone can understand what the ribbon stands for. And then, how do you get a hold of me? On TikTok, it's at Ntombizodwa Elizabeth Sithole without an E. And then, currently my Instagram is it's construction, so I can't
Okay.
say, but it's at Ntombi Sithole. And then on LinkedIn, it's at Ntombizodwa #Sithole. Facebook also, Ntombizodwa Elizabeth Sithole. Like I said, I like using all my names, so it's more clearer because somebody's Ntombizodwa out there. But if you are also looking into ordering the book directly from me, I'll just give you the number. It's 076 543 3782. That's also my WhatsApp number, so you can order it anytime.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. How much is the book?
The book is 2.99. It's retailing
Okay.
for 2.99 currently.
Okay. No, awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time to be a part of this conversation. And I really appreciate what you have said, the insight that you've given out from this. There's a lot there. I'm actually happy I can get to save this and repost it because there's a lot. There's a lot for my heart, Maggie.
Thank you. Thank you so
But
much.
yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Mbali, and the work that you do. Just getting us to be able to speak about mental health is very important. And I pray that God blesses you and continues to give you the right people to touch other people out there because it's very important, you know. You're doing a wonderful, and we are grateful for that. Siyabonga.
No, thank you very much. All right. Have yourself a lovely evening. Say hi to Ngobi and
I will do
thank you
that.
very much. I'm gonna be posting this here and then the next one, the other post is gonna be on YouTube. Please come back to both posts and just comment something that so that people know where to find you and to connect with you underneath it.
I will do that. Thank you so much, Mbali.
All right. Good night.
Night, night.